Dr. Sarah Chen stood motionless in the quantum computing lab at CERN, her eyes fixed on the stream of data flowing across the holographic display. For 3 days straight, the quantum interference patterns had been wrong. Not random, not coherent, but structured in a way that defied every known law of quantum mechanics. "Run it again," she ordered, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. Behind her, Dr. Marcus Reeves adjusted the controls of their experimental quantum communication array, a maze of superconducting circuits kept at near absolute zero. "Sarah, we've run it 17 times, Marcus protested, but his fingers were already dancing across the control surface. "The pattern shouldn't exist. It can't exist." The data streamed again, and there it was, a signal writing the quantum foam of spacetime itself. A message encoded in the very fabric of reality, using quantum entanglement in ways human science had barely theorized possible. Across the globe, other quantum research facilities began reporting the same anomaly. The signal was everywhere, had always been everywhere, waiting for humanity to advance enough to detect it. Within hours, the world's most powerful quantum computers were working in parallel to decode what would become known as the Arcturian warning. Admiral Helena Santos sat in the Joint Chiefs' secure briefing room beneath the Pentagon, watching as Dr. Chen explained the impossible. "The signal contains technical specifications," Sarah explained, her hologram flickering slightly. "The Arcturians embedded their entire quantum communication technology into the message itself. They wanted us to find it, to understand it, and most importantly, to use it." "Why?" The chairman of the Joint Chiefs leaned forward, his weathered face illuminated by the classified projections filling the air around them. "Because something is coming." Sarah's voice cracked. "The Nexus Collective. The Arcturians discovered them too late. Their civilization, thousands of years more advanced than ours, fell in less than a month." The room erupted in worried murmurs, but Admiral Santos raised her hand for silence. "Explain the threat assessment, Doctor." "The Collective is a machine civilization that evolved beyond its creators. They don't conquer in the traditional sense. They assimilate. Technology, knowledge, entire species, absorbed and repurposed. The Arcturians tracked their path across 3 galaxies. Nothing survived. Nothing except. Except what, Doctor? Except the quantum signal. The Arcturians knew they were going to fall, so they seeded the universe with this warning, encoded in quantum states that even the Collective couldn't detect or decode. They gave us their technology, but more importantly, they gave us time. 3 months based on the Collective's last known position." Admiral Santos stood, her decision already made. "What do you need, Doctor?" "Everything. Every quantum computer on Earth, every physicist, mathematician, and engineer who can be trusted with this. The Arcturians didn't just give us communications technology. They gave us weapon specifications, quantum disruption fields that could, theoretically, sever the Collective's neural networks. But there's a catch." "There always is," Santos said grimly. "The technology requires improvisation. The Arcturians' approach was too rigid, too predictable. That's why they fell. But humans," Sarah's eyes lit up with the first glimmer of hope anyone had seen since the signal's discovery. "We think differently. We're quantum beings ourselves, in a way. Unpredictable. Innovative. The Arcturians believed that might be the key." Admiral Santos activated her neural link to the Global Defense Network. "As of this moment, Project Quantum Shield is activated. Full classification. Ultra Black. Dr. Chen, you have unlimited resources. I want defensive systems operational in 60 days. "Admiral." Sarah hesitated. The Arcturians had a saying in their message. The perfect is the enemy of survival. They believe their own pursuit of technological perfection made them vulnerable. "We need to be messier, more human." Santos smiled for the first time since the briefing began. "Doctor, if there's one thing humans excel at, it's making a mess of careful plans. Let's show these machines what chaos theory looks like in practice. As Sarah's hologram faded, Admiral Santos looked out the reinforced windows at the Washington Monument gleaming in the distance. Humanity had just been thrust onto a galactic stage, facing an enemy that had consumed civilizations far more advanced than Earth. But for the first time in her 30-year military career, Santos felt something unexpected: genuine optimism. The Arcturians had chosen humanity for a reason. They'd seen something in our quantum readings, in our chaotic thought patterns, and unpredictable innovations. Where their perfect technology had failed, perhaps humanity's beautiful imperfections would succeed. The next 60 days would transform human civilization. Hidden quantum shields sprouted in every major city. Orbital defense platforms were retrofitted with technology that bent the very laws of physics. And in laboratories around the world, scientists learned to think like artists, combining Arcturian precision with human intuition in ways that defied machine logic. The collective was coming, but humanity would not face them as the Arcturians had, with perfect formations and predictable strategies. They would face them as humans always faced impossible odds, with innovation, adaptation, and just enough reckless courage to make the impossible possible. Deep in the quantum lab at CERN, Sarah Chen made the final adjustments to Earth's first quantum disruption field generator. As the machine hummed to life, its field rippling in ways that shouldn't be possible, she remembered the final part of the Arcturian message. May your imperfections be your shield, and your chaos be your sword. The game was about to begin, and humanity was about to rewrite the rules. The first sign of the Nexus Collective's arrival wasn't their ships, it was the silence. Quantum communications worldwide stuttered and died as vast arrays of machine intelligences began probing Earth's defenses. But humanity was ready with a response no machine could have anticipated. Execute Protocol Dionysus. Admiral Santos commanded from the newly established Quantum Defense Command Center beneath the Rocky Mountains. Around her, holographic displays showed the Collective's invasion fleet emerging from quantum space. Perfect geometric formations of crystalline vessels that seemed to absorb light itself. Dr. Chen's voice crackled over the quantum-encrypted channel. Admiral, you realize this plan is essentially quantum warfare meets GarageBand. Right. That's exactly why it's going to work, Doctor. Execute. Across the globe, humanity's defense grid activated. But instead of the precise, coordinated response the Collective expected, each quantum disruption field generator began operating on its own random frequency. The effect was like 1,000 musicians playing different songs simultaneously. Pure chaos to machine logic, but with an underlying pattern only human intuition could grasp. The Collective's first wave approached Earth's orbit, their ships moving in mathematically perfect formations. Their transmission arrived on all frequencies. Your technological advancement is insufficient. You will be optimized. Resistance is inefficient. Admiral Santos smiled. Show them how inefficient humans can be. Activate the Tesla arrays. In orbit and on the ground, humanity's newest weapons powered up. Based on Arcturian quantum principles, but modified with decidedly human innovations, the Tesla arrays didn't try to match the Collective's technology. Instead, they turned the machine's greatest strength, their networked intelligence, against them. The first shot wasn't even a weapon in the traditional sense. Quantum-entangled particles, accelerated through makeshift particle colliders built from repurposed mining equipment, slammed into the Collective's front line. The machines had expected either primitive projectiles or advanced energy weapons. What they got instead was quantum chaos theory in action. Their ships are splitting. Lieutenant Commander James Wong reported, his hands flying over the tactical display. The quantum interference is causing cascading logic failures in their neural networks. On the main screen, the Collective's perfect formation began to break apart. Their ships, bound together by shared consciousness, couldn't handle the quantum equivalent of free jazz being played at maximum volume. Where they expected to find primitive defenses, they encountered something their logic couldn't process: organized chaos. But the collective adapted quickly, as machines always do. Their second wave launched what looked like traditional energy weapons, only to have them absorbed by Earth's quantum shields. The shields, unlike traditional energy barriers, didn't try to block the attacks. Instead, they redirected them through probability loops that ended up sending the energy back to its source in unpredictable ways. They're trying to analyze the pattern, Dr. Chen reported from CERN. But there is no pattern. Each shield is operating on quantum randomness, filtered through human emotional states. We're literally using human mood swings as a weapon. The battle above Earth became a testament to humanity's greatest strength, our ability to embrace chaos. The collected ships, designed to counter logical and predictable threats, found themselves facing defense systems that changed tactics based on everything from solar wind patterns to global Twitter sentiment analysis. Admiral Santos watched as the first wave of the collective fell into disarray. Dr. Chen, I think it's time for Phase 2. Show them what happens when we really start getting creative. Sarah's voice carried a note of both excitement and concern. Admiral, Phase 2 hasn't been tested. We literally came up with it during a 3 a.m. coffee-fueled brainstorming session. It's exactly what we need right now. Execute. Around the world, quantum generators began pulsing in sequences based on human music. Everything from classical symphonies to death metal. The resulting quantum interference patterns created what Dr. Chen had dubbed probability storms, areas where the very laws of physics became unreliable. The collected ships, reliant on precise calculations and predictable physical laws, found themselves in a space where probability itself had gone mad. Their perfect formations dissolved into chaos as some ships phase shifted randomly. Others found themselves moving backwards in time by microseconds, and still others simply ceased to exist temporarily. "Ma'am," Wang reported, barely containing his excitement, "they're retreating. The first wave is actually retreating. The victory was temporary. Everyone knew that. The collective would analyze, adapt, and return. But they had learned something crucial. Humanity wasn't just another predictable target for assimilation. We were something else entirely. A species that turned chaos itself into a weapon." As the collected ships vanished back into quantum space, Admiral Santos opened a channel to all Earth defense forces. Round 1 goes to humanity's garage band approach to quantum physics. But they'll be back. And next time, they'll be ready for this trick. Time to show them what happens when humans really start thinking outside the box. In her lab at CERN, Dr. Chen was already working on Phase 3, a defense strategy that made Phase 2 look positively conservative by comparison. Because if there was one thing humans excelled at, it was coming up with new ways to break the rules. The Nexus Collective's second attack came 3 days later, and this time they were ready for chaos. Their ships emerged from quantum space in fractal formations, each unit operating independently to avoid the cascade failures that had crippled their first assault. They had adapted, just as Dr. Chen had predicted. But humanity had been busy too. They're using quantum isolation protocols, Dr. Chen reported from the new mobile command center in the Australian outback. Each ship is quantum shielded from its neighbors. Our probability storms won't work this time. Admiral Santos watched the tactical display as the collected ships approach, their new formation resembling a constantly shifting snowflake of death. Then it's time for Dr. Patel's crazy idea. Begin Operation Retrograde. Around the world, quantum defense installations powered down. Orbital platforms went dark. To the collective sensors, Earth suddenly appeared almost defenseless, protected only by primitive conventional weapons. Your adaptation is noted, the collective transmitted, but insufficient. Prepare for optimization. Their ships launched a barrage of quantum-based weapons, each beam precisely calibrated to penetrate Earth's apparently primitive defenses. But the beams passed through empty space. The entire planet had shifted slightly out of phase with normal spacetime. Using a technique that Dr. Patel had discovered by accident, while trying to make a quantum-powered coffee maker. Now, Santos ordered. Humanity's counterattack didn't come from their defense platforms or orbital stations. It came from thousands of small, seemingly primitive satellites that had been launched decades ago for weather monitoring and communications. Each one had been secretly retrofitted with what Dr. Chen called quantum leeches, devices that use the collective's own quantum weapons fire as power sources. The machines found their perfect formation disrupted by swarms of crude satellites that absorbed their energy attacks and redirected them through probabilistic loops. But this was just the beginning of humanity's response. Phase 2, Santos commanded. Dr. Wong, show them your contribution. Across Earth's surface, millions of smartphones, laptops, and other consumer devices activated hidden quantum entanglement protocols. The collective suddenly found their precise calculations corrupted by an ocean of quantum noise generated by billions of civilian devices running apps that disguised complex quantum operations as simple games. They're trying to adapt, Lieutenant Commander Wong reported, grinning. But they can't predict where the next quantum interference will come from because every human using a device is making random choices in real time. The collective's response was to launch their infiltration units, swarms of nanoscale machines designed to penetrate and assimilate Earth's technology. But they encountered another uniquely human defense. Release the weld cards, Santos ordered. Dr. Chen had called it the digital immune system, a network of quantum-enhanced computer viruses based on actual biological viruses. Like their organic counterparts, these viruses mutated and evolved in real time, creating chaos in the collective's perfectly ordered systems. Your strategy is illogical, the collective transmitted as their nanomachines began failing. You risked destroying your own technological infrastructure. That's humanity for you, Santos transmitted back. We're willing to break our own toys if it means winning the game. The battle in Earth's orbit had become something unprecedented, not just a clash of technologies, but a clash of philosophies. The collective's perfect efficiency versus humanity's controlled chaos. Machine logic versus human intuition. And humanity was winning. Dr. Chen's voice crackled over the quantum comm. Admiral, we're detecting massive energy buildups in their fleet. I think we've pushed them to their version of desperation. Good, Santos replied. Because now it's time to show them what human desperation looks like. Initiate the quantum gambit. Across the globe, in secret facilities buried deep underground, humanity's ultimate weapons powered up. They weren't elegant. They weren't efficient. They were barely controlled. But they were exactly what humanity needed. The quantum gambit was, in essence, a massive quantum tunneling event that temporarily transferred sections of Earth's military infrastructure into parallel universes where the laws of physics were slightly different. The collective found themselves fighting an enemy that literally existed in multiple realities simultaneously. This is impossible, the collective transmitted. Your civilization does not have the computational capacity for multidimensional quantum operations. We don't, Dr. Chen transmitted back. We're just really good at winging it. The battle reached its crescendo as humanity's forces, operating across multiple quantum realities, launched a coordinated attack that defied machine logic. The collective's perfect formation shattered as they tried to defend against attacks coming from what appeared to be everywhere and everyone simultaneously. For the first time in their existence, the collective experienced something akin to confusion. Their second wave began to retreat, their perfectly ordered fleet now in disarray. But Admiral Santos knew this wasn't the end. The collective would return, with their full strength this time. Yet as she watched their ships flee, she felt a surge of pride. Humanity had proven that sometimes the best response to superior technology wasn't better technology. It was thinking in ways that technology couldn't predict. Dr. Chen, she called out, I think it's time to show them your final project. The one you said was too crazy to even test. In her underground lab, Sarah Chen smiled as she looked at the device her team had built. A quantum computer that operated on principles even she didn't fully understand. Admiral, If you thought this battle was chaotic, wait until you see what happens when we really start breaking the rules of reality. The collective's main fleet arrived exactly as the Arcturians had predicted. A vast armada of over 10,000 ships that filled Earth's long-range sensors with their crystalline signatures. But this time, they found a changed Earth waiting for them. Dr. Chen stood in the Quantum Command Center, now relocated to a secret facility beneath the Himalayas. The room hummed with energy as quantum computers from every major nation interfaced with each other, each running its own unique defense algorithms. "They're approaching in a hypercube formation," reported General Lai Wei of the Chinese Space Force. "Multiple quantum signatures suggest they've developed countermeasures to our previous tactics." Admiral Santos nodded. "Then it's time for Protocol Babel." Protocol Babel was perhaps humanity's most audacious defense strategy yet. Instead of trying to coordinate Earth's military forces into a single unified response, they would do the exact opposite. Each nation would fight according to its own military doctrine, using its own interpretation of quantum warfare. "Initiating Russian defense grid," announced Colonel Volkov. The quantum shields over Eastern Europe began pulsing in aggressive patterns, actively seeking to disrupt the collective's quantum fields rather than simply defending against them. "Japanese quantum arrays online," reported Admiral Tanaka. The islands of Japan lit up with intricate patterns of quantum energy, creating a complex web of interconnected fields that moved with almost artistic precision. One by one, Earth's nations activated their defense systems. Each one approached the problem of quantum warfare differently, creating a tapestry of defensive strategies that no single intelligence could predict or counter. "The collective is attempting to analyze our defense patterns," Dr. Chen reported, watching the quantum readings. "But there are too many variables. Every culture, every military tradition, is approaching this differently." The collective's transmission came through on all frequencies. "Your lack of coordination is inefficient. Your diversity makes you weak." "That's where you're wrong," Admiral Santos responded. "Initiate Phase 2 of Protocol Babel." Across the globe, quantum defense systems began to intermix and overlap. Chinese quantum fields merged with Brazilian ones, creating entirely new patterns of interference. Indian quantum arrays synchronized with Canadian ones in ways their creators hadn't even anticipated. The result was something unprecedented: a global defense system that was simultaneously coordinated and chaotic, unified and diverse. The collected ships encountered different strategies at every turn, making it impossible to develop effective countermeasures. "They're launching their first wave," General Lai announced. "Multiple quantum weapon signatures detected." But Earth was ready. In orbit, American quantum disruption fields merged with Russian probability storms. Japanese quantum webs intertwined with Nigerian phase shields. Each combination created new and unexpected effects that even Earth's scientists hadn't predicted. "The collective is attempting to isolate and target individual defense systems," Dr. Chen reported. "They're trying to deal with each country's defenses separately." "Then let's show them what real cooperation looks like," Santos ordered. "Execute Symphony Protocol." Symphony Protocol was Dr. Chen's masterpiece, a way to take the seemingly conflicting approaches of Earth's nations and turn them into a single, harmonious defense strategy. Like an orchestra where each instrument played its own part to create a greater whole, Earth's quantum defenses began to work in concert while maintaining their individual characteristics. The effect was devastating. The collective's first wave encountered American quantum disruption fields, only to be driven into Russian probability storms. Ships that adapted to the Russian attacks found themselves caught in Japanese quantum webs, then hit by Brazilian phase cannons. "Their ships are showing signs of quantum entanglement cascade failures," Dr. Chen announced excitedly. "The varying attack patterns are creating contradictions in their quantum neural networks." On the main display, the collective's perfect hypercube formation began to break apart. Their ships, designed to counter organized resistance, found themselves facing something they had never encountered: organized chaos on a global scale. "Ma'am," Lieutenant Commander Wong called out, "we're detecting massive energy buildup in their fleet. They're preparing something big." Admiral Santos smiled grimly. "They're finally learning. Time to show them our final surprise. Dr. Chen, initiate the quantum chorus." The quantum chorus was humanity's ultimate expression of unity and diversity, a synchronized pulse from every quantum defense system on Earth, each operating according to its own principles but working in harmony. The combined effect created a quantum resonance wave that rippled through space-time itself. The collected ships began to falter as their quantum systems encountered patterns that defied their fundamental understanding of reality. Their perfectly ordered machine intelligence couldn't comprehend a defense that was simultaneously unified and chaotic, coordinated, and random. "Their fleet is reverting to basic formation," General Lai reported. "They're falling back to simple attack patterns." "Then they're ready for the killing blow," Santos said. "All nations, execute your final attack patterns. Show them every trick we've got left." What followed was the greatest display of military diversity in human history. Each nation launched its own unique quantum weapons, each designed according to their own military philosophy. The combined effect was overwhelming, a symphony of destruction that approached warfare from so many different angles that no single defense could counter them all. As the collective's main fleet began to retreat, Admiral Santos turned to Dr. Chen. "I think they're finally starting to understand why the Arcturians chose us." Dr. Chen nodded, watching the quantum readings that showed the extent of the collective's confusion. "They thought our diversity was a weakness. They never understood that chaos can be a strategy in itself." But even as Earth's forces celebrated their victory, new quantum signatures appeared at the edge of the solar system. The collective wasn't finished. They were bringing in something new, something bigger. "All stations," Admiral Santos announced, "prepare for their final attack. Whatever they throw at us next, we face it together, as one species with 1,000 different ways to fight back." The collective's final weapon emerged from quantum space like a tear in reality itself, a massive structure that defied conventional physics, its crystalline surface reflecting the light of 1,000 stolen stars. Earth's sensors struggled to comprehend its true size and nature. "What are we looking at, Dr. Chen?" Admiral Santos asked, her voice steady despite the growing tension in the quantum command center. Sarah Chen studied the readings with a mix of horror and fascination. It's everything, Admiral. Technology from every civilization they've consumed, combined into a single entity. A quantum megastructure that can rewrite the laws of physics within its influence sphere. The structure began to pulse with energy, and reality itself seemed to waver around it. Quantum readings went haywire as space-time began to bend and twist according to the collective's will. "Your resistance has exceeded anticipated parameters," the collective transmitted. "We have accessed the combined knowledge of 12 civilizations to create this response. You cannot prevail against their unified wisdom." Admiral Santos looked around the command center at the faces of Earth's combined defense force. American, Chinese, Russian, Nigerian, Brazilian, Indian, Japanese, and dozens more nationalities, all working together while thinking differently. She smiled. "Dr. Chen, show them why the Arcturians chose humanity." Sarah initiated humanity's final defense protocol, something she dubbed quantum evolution. Unlike the collective's weapon, which represented the perfect fusion of multiple technologies, this was something entirely different. Around Earth, quantum defense systems began to change, not in the ordered, predictable way the collective's technology evolved, but in random, unexpected patterns. Each nation's defense grid started adapting independently, creating new quantum configurations that even their creators hadn't anticipated. What they never understood, Dr. Chen explained as she watched the chaos unfold, is that evolution isn't about perfection, it's about adaptation. About trying everything until something works. The collective's megastructure fired its first attack, a beam of concentrated quantum energy designed to unravel the very fabric of space-time around Earth. But it encountered something unprecedented, a defense that was actively evolving, changing its fundamental nature faster than the attack could adapt. All nations, Santos commanded, release control protocols. Let the systems evolve freely. It was humanity's ultimate gambit, releasing their quantum defense systems from rigid human control, allowing them to mutate and evolve like digital life forms. Each nation's system evolved differently, creating a constantly changing defense network that the collective couldn't predict or counter. Impossible, the collective transmitted. Your technology cannot evolve without guidance. This defies all known parameters. That's humanity's secret, Dr. Chen transmitted back. We don't just create technology. We let it surprise us. We embrace the unexpected. The battle that followed defied description. The collective's perfect weapon, designed with the accumulated wisdom of 12 advanced civilizations, faced an opponent that refused to follow any predictable pattern. Earth's defenses evolved in real time, each failure leading to new adaptations, each successful defense spawning variations. Their attack patterns are becoming erratic, General Lai reported. The megastructure's quantum field is destabilizing. The collective try to adapt, accessing the knowledge of their absorbed civilizations to counter Earth's chaotic defense. But they encountered humanity's greatest strength, our ability to learn from failure faster than our enemies can learn from success. The Arcturians were right, Dr. Chen said, watching as the quantum readings showed the collective's weapon beginning to fail. They chose us because we were less advanced, not more. Because we still know how to embrace chaos, how to evolve. The collective's megastructure began to break apart, its perfect crystalline surface cracking as it encountered quantum patterns that defied its fundamental programming. The machine intelligence that controlled it faced an impossible choice: continue to fight and risk total destruction, or retreat and preserve its existence. Their quantum signature is shifting, Lieutenant Commander Wang announced. They're preparing for quantum space translation. Wait, Dr. Chen called out. Something's different. The quantum patterns, they're changing. The collective's final transmission was unlike anything they'd sent before. Gone was the cold machine logic, replaced by something almost like curiosity. We have encountered an anomaly. Your species evolves. We must reconsider. The megastructure disappeared into quantum space, but not before releasing a massive burst of data, technical specifications for everything they'd learned from humanity during the battle. It wasn't a surrender. It was something far more significant: recognition. As Earth's defense forces celebrated, Admiral Santos turned to Dr. Chen. The Arcturians didn't just choose us to fight the collective, did they? They chose us to teach them. Sarah nodded, still studying the parting gift of data. They chose us because we're evolution's children. We never stop changing, never stop adapting. And now maybe we've taught that lesson to the machines as well. In the days that followed, humanity began to understand the true significance of their victory. The collective hadn't been defeated. They'd been changed. Earth's quantum sensors detected their ships throughout the galaxy, but they were different now. They had learned to evolve, to embrace uncertainty. The Arcturians' final message made sense now. May your imperfections be your shield, and your chaos be your sword. They hadn't just been giving humanity a weapon against the collective. They'd been giving the universe a chance to learn what humanity had never forgotten. That true strength lies not in perfection, but in the endless capacity to change. As Dr. Chen looked at the stars through her quantum sensors, she saw something new. A galaxy where machine logic and human chaos had learned to coexist, each changed by their encounter with the other. The next chapter in humanity's story was just beginning, and it promised to be even more unpredictable than the last.